State of the franchise for the Detroit Lions. Now, for those of you guys who are not familiar with what the State of the Franchise series is on the channel, basically, it's pretty much a season recap. I give you guys an overview on how the season went and the direction that I feel the franchise is heading in. Is the franchise going in a good direction, or is it going in a bad direction? You look at the Detroit Lions, they finished this past NFL season with a record of 3-13-1. My preseason prediction for the Detroit Lions was 6 wins. Obviously, they didn't come close to that, but however, they were a really competitive football team. They didn't really get blown out by that much in that many games. They were really competitive in the majority of the regular season matchups that they participated in. You look at Jared Goff. I think that Jared Goff showed near the end of the season that he has what it takes to be the franchise quarterback in Detroit for the foreseeable future. I don't really expect the Detroit Lions to draft a quarterback in the 2022 NFL draft. You guys make sure to go ahead and check out that video when I already asked the question and answered the question if the Detroit Lions should take a QB. So you look at the quarterback position, it's pretty solid. The offensive line, I thought was going to be really good this past season, and it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was average. So hopefully the offensive line can improve, but you definitely have to improve the wide receiver position. Even though you do have a young stud in Amon-Ra St. Brown, he had a really good rookie season. Then you have TJ Hawkinson, but you definitely have to improve the receiving room. Running back is already solidified with DeAndre Swift. So the offense needs some dynamic players to help out in the passing game, okay? Then you have to figure out who's going to be your offensive coordinator, or is Dan Campbell going to continue calling the plays because they got rid of former offensive coordinator Anthony Lynn, who used to be the head coach for the Los Angeles Chargers. So you have to figure that out. The defense looks really good. They got a pretty good defensive coordinator, but even though they have a really good defensive coordinator, they have a lot of holes that they have to fill. You got to find the pass rusher. You got to improve linebacker. You need to improve cornerback and safety. So you look at Kayvon Thibodeau, Aiden Hutchinson, Kyle Hamilton, Devin Lloyd. Like, there are a lot of talented players on the defense side of football that can help out the Detroit Lions. And they have 2 first-round picks. And there's some rumors out there that are saying that don't be surprised if the Lions trade back in the draft to acquire more capital, which I think will be a good decision in their part, because then they can get more talented players to help out. So for Detroit, the way the season went, like at the start of the year, this team was struggling to find ways to win games. And on top of that, there were a couple of games when they just got ran out of the building. Then in the second half, you had some heartbreakers. You had the tie to Pittsburgh. Not to mention, you had that miracle field goal by Justin Tucker, like the miracle bounce in pretty much, or the miracle doink. Then you also had some games where you came out and you shocked the world, like when you defeated the Arizona Cardinals. You had your best win all year. So Detroit was a team that really fought for Dan Campbell. And there were many critics of Dan Campbell when he first got hired. You look at his attitude, he's somebody who is really optimistic. As a matter of fact, you probably could call him somebody who's overly optimistic. He was talking about body kneecaps, and some people were thinking that he was just this raw guy and that it wasn't going to turn out on the field. But the players love Dan Campbell. They respect Dan Campbell, and you can tell that Dan Campbell really loves the city of Detroit. He has embraced the city of Detroit, and on top of that, not only has he embraced the city of Detroit, but these players have embraced him. Like, they fought hard for Dan Campbell this season, and although it may not be reflected by the win-loss record, like, the Detroit Lions were a better team to end the season than what they were to start the season. This was a team that struggled to really get in rhythm offensively until late in the year. That's when Jared Goff started to get a good connection with his receivers. That's when the offense kind of started to figure things out. So if they're able to bring in a good offensive coordinator and they improve the wide receiver position, this could be a pretty dangerous team offensively to look out for in 2022. Now, the defense still has a lot of work, but you know, there is free agency, there is the draft. So I expect Detroit going into the 2022 regular season to be one team that could go from being in the bottom of their division to end up being a team who could end up competing for one of the last remaining spots in the playoffs come next year, because this is a team that looks like it's going to end up being pretty well coached. Dan Campbell is going to make sure that he ends up finding the right man as offensive coordinator. And even if Detroit doesn't make it into the playoffs next season in 2022, if you're a Lions fan, all that you're really looking for is you're looking for progression. You want to see this team moving forward instead of backwards. And I already like what Dan Campbell has done so far in his first year as the head coach for Detroit. I think that despite the win-loss record, he's doing things pretty well. He has a culture established in the locker room that's going to make people want to come play for Detroit. Like, Detroit just looks like a fun franchise to play for right now. And that's something that you didn't really say a lot when Matt Patricia formerly was the head coach for Detroit. You know, players didn't really like showing up for work. They didn't really look excited. They didn't really look enthusiastic. Meanwhile, you have Dan Campbell, which this team has pretty much embraced his identity. In his press conference, you know, I was looking at him a little bit crazy with the eyebrow, because I was like, you're talking about biting kneecaps? Like, what? Like, this was a team that definitely fought to the very end. No matter what the score was, they fought hard for Dan Campbell, and that's what you want to see. The key to establishing a good franchise and establishing a good culture all starts by the first year. If you can get players to buy in to what you're selling despite not having a winning record, that's a positive. Then you bring in guys who fit your culture once you already have that established. So for the Lions, man, like, I think that this is a franchise that's definitely heading in the right direction, and I'm excited to see how they further improve this offseason. Really excited for the state of the Detroit Lions franchise. Is definitely heading in the right direction.